The next day, Maria woke up early, got dressed, fixed her hair, put on some makeup, then headed straight to the kitchen. Today was the big day. Her restaurant, Corazon de la Filipina, would finally open its doors and serve authentic Filipino cuisine to the people of Florence, Italy. This moment had been years in the making. After leaving her old job, Maria had poured everything into this venture, her heart, her soul, and every lesson she learned as a cook. Looking around her restaurant, she saw the fruits of her labor, the hand-painted walls adorned with images of Philippine landscapes, the table settings that mimicked her childhood home, and most importantly, the menu. With a mix of traditional recipes passed down from her mother and innovative creations of her own, Maria had crafted a culinary experience that was both nostalgic and exciting. As the sun rose higher, the first customers started trickling in. They were a mix of locals and Filipinos who had heard about the new restaurant. Maria welcomed each one with a warm smile and a promise of a taste of the Philippines. The day progressed like a melody. Maria moved through the kitchen with grace and precision. Each dish that came out was a masterpiece, reflecting her passion and skill. There were classics like the sour soup of sinigang, the savory pork dish, adobo, and the deep-fried spring rolls filled with a savory surprise. Every bite was a celebration of flavor, a testament to Maria's culinary prowess. The restaurant was buzzing. Laughter echoed off the painted walls as customers shared stories and sipped on refreshing drinks. For Maria, it was a dream come true. Not only was she showcasing Filipino food, but she was creating memories. The aroma of her cooking spilled out onto the street, weaving its magic on passers-by. Soon, lines began forming outside her restaurant. Maria stood at the door, overwhelmed with gratitude. She remembered the times she stood in similar lines, waiting for a chance to be noticed. Now, she was the one creating that impact. But amidst the excitement, a shadow loomed. In the corner, a man sat observing. It was the owner of the renowned restaurant where Maria once worked. His face was unreadable, but the tightness of his jaw betrayed his emotions. He had heard about Maria's success and had come to see for himself what she had done. At first, he had scoffed. How could a small Filipino restaurant compete with his establishment? But now he wasn't so sure. Watching the lines of customers, he knew he had made a mistake. But pride kept him rooted to his seat. He wouldn't admit it, not to her, not to anyone. Little did he know that Maria had seen him. She had spotted the conflict in his eyes, the battle between pride and regret. But she wasn't going to confront him. She was focused on her dream, on sharing the joy of Filipino food with the world. As evening descended, casting long shadows across the city, Maria's restaurant was still packed. The energy was electric, fueled by laughter, conversation, and of course, food. But it was more than just a meal. It was an experience, a cultural exchange that transcended the boundaries of language and custom. Yet as the last customers left and the silence of the empty restaurant settled around her, Maria couldn't help but feel a pang of loneliness. She missed her family, the familiar sights and sounds of the Philippines. Suddenly, a knock at the door broke the quiet. Maria turned, surprised, and there he stood, the owner of the rival restaurant. Hesitantly, he stepped inside. "Maria," he began, his voice gruff. "I need to apologize." Maria looked up, her eyes questioning. The apology he offered was laced with bitterness, but it was an apology nonetheless. He explained that many of his customers had switched to her restaurant, drawn by the authenticity of her food. "They missed the flavors they once loved," he admitted, "the ones you brought to our table." Maria understood. She knew that the secret to her success lay in the love and tradition she poured into her cooking. But she wasn't interested in gloating. Instead, she replied, "You don't need to apologize. Your restaurant is renowned. I'm sure you will find a way to bring back those flavors." The owner nodded, admiration dawning on his face. "You are a remarkable cook, Maria. I was wrong to underestimate you." Maria returned his gaze steadily. "We all have our strengths, Señor," she said, using her native term of respect. "And sometimes all we need is a chance to show them." The owner left then, walking away from the restaurant without the usual flourish that characterized his presence. Maria watched him go, knowing that he had learned a valuable lesson that day. One that she herself had learned years ago from her mother. Good food is not about the price of the ingredients or the shine of a fancy kitchen. It's about the love you put into it. Days turned into weeks, then months. Maria's restaurant continued to thrive. Authentic Filipino food became a sensation in Florence. People from neighboring towns came specifically to taste her dishes. Tourists who once skipped over Filipino cuisine now queued up outside her restaurant. And it wasn't just about the food. It was about the experience, the warmth, the sense of community that Maria had created. She had become a local celebrity. Food critics raved about her. Local newspapers featured her story, and television crews lined up to interview her. But through it all, Maria remained grounded. She treated every customer as if it was their first visit, every review as if it was her last. She never forgot where she started, the humble beginnings, the long hours, and the countless rejections. But perhaps her greatest triumph was the respect she had earned. The owner of the rival restaurant, once her boss, now her competitor, treated her as an equal. They shared ideas, exchanged recipes, and together they promoted Filipino cuisine to the people of Florence. In turn, Maria's old boss, too, found success in his own way. He began incorporating some of Maria's techniques into his dishes, adding a touch of the Philippines to his French cuisine. The result was a delightful fusion that made them both stand out. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Maria stood in the doorway of her restaurant. Before her stretched the bustling streets of Florence, alive with music, laughter, and the aroma of her cooking. Beside her was a framed article from the city's most prominent newspaper. The headline read, "Filipina chef captures hearts and palates of Florence." A warm glow filled her chest, a feeling that had nothing to do with the setting sun. She had done it. She had shown the world that Filipino food could hold its own on the grand stage of international cuisine. But her journey was more than just a personal triumph. It was a testament to the power of perseverance, the strength of community, and the magic that happens when you follow your dreams, as long as you never stop believing. Her reflection gazed back at her, tired but triumphant. The years of struggle, the moments of doubt, and the taste of rejection were all worth it. Right then, in that moment, surrounded by the symphony of a city she had conquered, Maria realized that her story was far from over. She had merely scratched the surface of what she could achieve. The future stretched before her, promising new challenges, exciting adventures, and endless opportunities to share her passion with the world. With a renewed sense of purpose, she stepped back into the warmth of her restaurant, ready to face whatever came next. She was Maria Isabel de la Cruz, a Filipina chef who dared to dream and, in doing so, changed the culinary landscape of Florence forever. Have you ever heard of Filipino cuisine? Have you ever experienced the deliciousness of adobo, the sourness of sinigang, or the savory goodness of Bicol Express? Well, if you haven't, prepare to get your taste buds tantalized, because today, we are taking you on a culinary adventure that will make you crave for more. Our story begins in the beautiful city of Florence, Italy, a place renowned for its art, history, and of course, its delectable cuisine. Here, amidst the rolling hills and picturesque landscapes, there lived a Filipina chef whose name was Maria Isabel de la Cruz. Maria was no ordinary chef. She possessed a gift, a talent for cooking that could warm the coldest of hearts and fill empty stomachs with joy. However, life had not been easy for Maria. She had come to Italy with big dreams, aspirations that soared higher than the Duomo's majestic dome. But the path to success was paved with challenges that tested her resilience and determination. Despite the obstacles that stood in her way, Maria never lost sight of her goal. She toiled tirelessly, learning the secrets of Italian cuisine, absorbing its techniques and flavors until she could create masterpieces that would make any foodie swoon. But fate had a peculiar twist in store for her. In a shocking turn of events, she found herself without a job, branded as unskilled and unwanted. Devastated but not defeated, Maria retreated to the comforting embrace of her heritage, Filipino food. With each dish she prepared, her spirits lifted, her confidence grew. She realized that her true strength lay in her ability to cook the food of her homeland, food that spoke of her roots, her identity, and her unwavering spirit. And so with a heavy heart and a determined spirit, she embarked on a journey to recreate the magic of Filipino cuisine in the heart of Italy. Her mission was clear: to show the world that Filipino food was not just delicious, it was a celebration of life, a testament to her heritage, and a symbol of her unbreakable spirit. Will she succeed? Will she be able to win over the hearts and stomachs of the Italians with her Filipino dishes? Or will the challenges and prejudices she faces be too great to overcome? Stay tuned and find out as we continue to uncover the story of Maria and her culinary journey. As the sun set over Florence, casting long shadows across the city, Maria stood in front of a modest shop, her heart pounding in her chest. This was it. The place that was once a quaint corner store was now her very own restaurant, Corazon Filipina, the heart of the Philippines. With trembling hands, she opened the door, revealing a cozy interior adorned with vibrant colors, warm lighting, and the enticing aroma of spices and herbs. The walls were decorated with paintings depicting scenes from the Philippines, from the majestic Mayon volcano to the beautiful rice terraces of Banaue. Her menu was a celebration of Filipino flavors, featuring classic dishes like adobo, sinigang, lechon, and many more. Each recipe was a labor of love, passed down through generations, each ingredient carefully selected to transport her customers to the bustling markets of Manila or the tranquil shores of Boracay. On the day of the opening, Maria was filled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Would the locals be receptive to Filipino cuisine? Would they appreciate the unique blend of flavors and cooking techniques she had to offer? As the first customers walked in, Maria took a deep breath and welcomed them with a warm smile. Their initial reactions were priceless. Some were intrigued, others skeptical, but all of them were in for a culinary adventure they would never forget. With each dish that left her kitchen, Maria poured her heart and soul into it. She wanted to create an experience that went beyond just serving food. She wanted to tell a story of her homeland, its people, and its culture through the universal language of food. As the evening progressed, the restaurant filled with laughter, chatter, and the clinking of glasses. The customers were blown away by the explosion of flavors, the perfect harmony of sweet, sour, savory, and spicy, and the generous portions that left them wanting more. There were some skeptics, of course, those who had never tried Filipino food before and were hesitant to step out of their comfort zone. But even they were won over by the deliciousness of Maria's creations. One of her signature dishes, adobo, a flavorful stew of chicken or pork cooked in vinegar, garlic, and soy sauce, was a particular crowd pleaser. The succulent meat fell off the bone, and the rich sauce was so good it could make anyone lick the plate clean. Another favorite was sinigang, a sour soup dish with a tamarind broth and a medley of vegetables and seafood. The tangy broth and the fresh ingredients created a symphony of flavors that danced on the palate. And let's not forget the dessert, a delightful mix of coconut, milk, sugar, and beans that left diners feeling nostalgic and craving for more. As the night drew to a close, Maria stood at the window watching the satisfied customers leave. She had done it. She had introduced them to a part of her culture, a small piece of the Philippines. And in doing so, she had forged connections that went beyond just a meal. For Filipino food is more than just food. It's a reflection of the people, their history, and their values. It's a celebration of life, a testament to the beauty of diversity, and a reminder that the greatest flavors often come from the most unexpected places. As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Corazon Filipina became a sensation in Florence. Food critics raved about it. Tourists made it a point to visit, and locals became regulars. The restaurant was always packed, filled with people eager to taste Maria's delicious creations. Word spread like wildfire, and soon Maria was receiving invitations to cater private parties, corporate events, and even royal functions. Her reputation as a culinary genius grew, and she became a sought-after chef, gracing the covers of food magazines and appearing on television shows. But amidst all the success and recognition, Maria remained humble. She knew that her journey had been long and arduous, and she understood the importance of hard work, perseverance, and passion. She continued to innovate, experimenting with new recipes, incorporating modern techniques, and surprising her customers with creative twists on traditional favorites. Her menu evolved, reflecting her growth as a chef and her desire to push the boundaries of Filipino cuisine. Meanwhile, back at the former restaurant where Maria once toiled, the atmosphere was starkly different. Without Maria's culinary magic, the place had become a shadow of its former self. The ambiance was dull, the food uninspired, and the customers absent. The owner, once proud and confident, was now desperate, trying everything he could to recapture the success he had enjoyed with Maria. He reached out to her, offering her a chance to return, but it was too late. Maria had come too far to turn back. She had built a culinary empire of her own, one that celebrated her heritage and showcased her extraordinary talent. And so Maria politely declined the offer, her decision firm and unwavering. She knew that her journey was not meant to lead her back there. It was meant to take her to greater heights, to new horizons where she could continue to innovate, inspire, and delight her customers. Looking back, the path had been long and winding, filled with challenges and setbacks. But Maria had never faltered. She had embraced every obstacle, every criticism, and every doubt as an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to prove herself. And she had succeeded not just in the eyes of others, but most importantly in her own. She had shown the world that Filipino food was not just delicious, it was a celebration of life, a testament to her heritage and a symbol of her unbreakable spirit. And as she stood in her restaurant, surrounded by the warmth of her customers and the love of her community, Maria knew that she had found her place in the world. She was not just a Filipina chef in Italy. She was Maria Isabel de la Cruz, the culinary queen of Florence, the woman who had captured the hearts and stomachs of a nation with her delicious food and indomitable spirit. And her story was far from over. The future was bright, the flavors were endless, and Maria was ready to serve.